So it's just going to be a small publication that's going to highlight each of the Hall of Famers.
Nice.
And then we also applied recently for another project, which I'll write you about. But you might want to start thinking about it now. We don't know if we'll be funded for it or not. But nobody has done an exhibit of the Hall of Famers quilts.
No.
So what we were thinking of doing is taking the publication and photographs from the publication, making a small traveling exhibit, and doing a stationary exhibit of everybody's quilts in October in conjunction with the 1986 induction ceremony.
Oh, sounds very nice.
So if start thinking of a favorite quilt or a quilt that you might want to show in October if we get funded for this.
That would be very nice. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah.
So why don't we start with a little bit of personal history? Were you born here?
Or? No, I was born in Missouri.
Oh, you were?
Our family, my mother's comes from Illinois, Marissa, Illinois. My father came from Mansfield, Ohio. And my grandparents were born in one in Germany, one in France.
Oh, wow.
Alsatian, and the other one born Scotch and Irish. So it's a kind of a mixture, is it not? But so we're a little bit of everything. My husband's family, all English, born overseas.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not.
And how did you come here?
Well, I've always been here. I was born in St. Louis, so I mean. But up here, you mean?
Yeah.
My husband's been hunting up here since around 47, and we always liked this area.
Oh.
And it just so happened we saw the house, and over the years after we got married, we finally decided we were just lucky we were able to buy it. Here we are. We've been here we bought it in 70. But we've lived in it since 73, I think.
So this was a second home for a while?
Oh, yes. It's like
really
third.
Beautiful.
But it's small. I mean, it's not the two of us. We have no children, so which makes it nice.
And prior to that, you didn't live in Missouri?
No, I lived in Long Island.
Oh, you did?
In Floral Park and in the village of Bell Road, not too far from Garden City. I know where that is. And I taught in the Floral Park Bell Road School for 30-some-odd years.
What did you teach for grades?
Well, health. I was a school nurse teacher and health in all the grades. But we just backed the Belmont racetrack, that school. This is a beautiful spot. You stand on the roof and see all the races go on.
Great. OTB before there was.
Right. But, yes, I was there. I did public health work for many years before that. But I like the school work and I like the children. Of course, I've always quilted. My mother and my grandmother quilted. I don't know, just automatically one does it.
Automatically?
I like to knit and embroider and so forth.
So you learned to quilt from your mother and your grandmother?
Well, I'd say so. You know, they didn't teach you, you just watched and gradually happened.
So, you can't say how old you were?
Oh, golly, I couldn't do it in teenagers, I guess. I couldn't say. Because I'd stop and start, you know, how you are, you go to school and then you get away from things and then you go back to it. But as I got older, I had more time in between schoolwork. I did a lot.
So
a couple of sewing groups.
You continued throughout?
Yes, I just continued. But I think that's what most of us do. We gradually get into it. And then I just got into this quilting group up here. A few of the women were interested in, well, you know, there's a small group of patchworkers. So it worked out that way. That's how.
How many women are in the group?
They vary. They join and then they drop out. Some of the younger group, well, they're having their children, and so of course that area they have to stop for a while and they come back. We run about 16 or has been 18, but 14 to 16 most of the time. But they don't all come to every meeting. I had one last, what is today, Thursday, Friday. Wednesday night they were here. We had 11 things, so that was a good. I'd say that's an average 11 to 12. Meet each Wednesday.
So do you work on a one
Yes.
person's project?
No,
or?
well, yes, we do. At the moment, we are all helter-skelter, knitting, sewing, quilting, and whatnot, but on our own. But we have one quilt a year we make for the East Jewett Fire Department. And each one of us assumes that task. This year it happens to be a girl from Cairo. She happens to belong to this group. She's making it. It's her design, doesn't have to be her own design, but I mean it can be her selection of whatever she wants, colors and etc. And she plans the whole thing, and she maps it out, and then gives each one of us, if it happens to be squares of patchwork, each one gets a square with instructions, or if it's applique, the same. And then, when it's finished, we get together and we put it together. And sometimes the border or something such is put on by the one who plans it, because she has a certain way she does it. And then we all get together and put the filling in and the backing and so forth. And we put it on a frame in one of our workers' homes. I don't use a frame, so I do it in my lap. Without a hoop or anything, just plain lap hooping. I can't
That's
use
unusual.
I can't use a hoop or anything. But anyway, we do that, and then we meet each week, or if we can come in between time, and they're gracious enough to be home and let us come in, we come in and we have a nice bit of chat along with our quilting, and we get it done. And then, in the meantime, we try and get it done ahead of time. The quilt is usually raffled off at the August Chicken Barbecue, which is held at the Harriman camp. It's a Boy Scout camp up in East Jewett, and because people all around come to that barbecue, it's kind of well known. And that night, the drawing of the quilt. Whoever wins it, of course, is nice. But in the meantime, we have pictures of it, and we sell chances on it, $1 a chance, since it goes to the fire department.
Right.
And we've done very well on some of our quilts. Some we have, and some we haven't, depending. If we can go to local fairs or local flea markets or such, where we can display it, then you might have a little chance for more money.
Right.
But every year, that's our contribution to the fire department, which makes it nice. Sometimes it runs $1,200, sometimes 6, 7, or 8, or 9, depending upon how often we have had it exposed to the public.
Yeah.
You know, so
Right.
it's not that the quilt isn't that pretty, but it varies each time in money and in color. Now, last year we had a pure white quilted, all white on white.
Oh, those are pretty.
This year it's going to be different. I don't know yet what, but we'll be starting it about now. And quilting during the early months, so that we'll have it ready for the August.
Now, did you ever, were you ever the planner?
Yes, I had one that I thought it was rather pretty, called a higher rose and pale roses and greens, and that was very nice. Was one right here by the Mrs. Farber, from the big Farber farm down here. She won, it's funny, she won 2 quilts each year.
Oh, really? People will start to think it's fixed.
Yes, exactly. So she didn't take anything for the following year for fear they'd think so. It was strange. It was drawn that way, but that's the way it was, and it worked out very nicely. So it's right here locally.
So did you quilt with anyone on Long Island?
Actually, no, not with anybody. I made a couple of quilts, but I made them on my own, because the rest of the women I sewed with were more or less interested in embroidery of all kinds of crewel work as well as fine sampler work. We didn't really.
Do you ever use crewel or embroidery in your quilting?
Yeah. Not in the quilting, no. But I've done a lot. I'll show you before you go, just for fun. Not in the. I've done embroidery in the quilting. Oh yes, and I made. What can be used for a quilt, I made I think it's very beautiful. Maybe it's a whole crewel bedspread. Years ago I made it, not recently. And it was a copy from the Museum of Natural History. I used to have to go to Macy's every week, and they'd let me copy the stitches under glass. They
Mine.
handed the quilt out, and they bring it out and put it under a glass case, and I'd have to look. They gave me the pattern, but the pattern didn't suit me. It wasn't the stitches of the quilt, and I was very disappointed. It was to twin bed size. Well, needless to say, I never made the other twin bed. It took me so long. But it was very, very much a project, and I enjoyed it. But that is all crewel work, and that is pretty. I have to say that myself because it's not my own work. It's what I copied it from that was so beautiful. So, and you couldn't help but like it because the piece is there. I can't even think where it is now, but it's in the museum. But that's the only crewel work I've made on.
Now you did it for the Museum of Natural History?
No, I did it for myself. It's strange that Macy's at that time would have offered it. I don't think anybody else ever bought the pattern. There was a display, you know, and that was years ago when they had a lot of needlework. And I don't know. It's been years since I've been to Macy's, so I don't know as far as needlework what they have now. But it was a copy of it. But they have, some of our members have made sections with crewel work in it, in quilts, which is very pretty. But you use wool in it. You have to watch because if you wash quilt wool, you know, it's apt to shrink. Yeah. And you might have a problem.
So now do the patchwork quilters have to carry a frame around?
No, we don't. We usually just do it, that one quilt, in the home of the person that has the frame.
I understand.
You see what I mean? We leave it there. She graciously, usually it's the Robinsons, Margaret and Dorothy Robinson in East Jewett, and they have it, and they always take part of their dining room and set up the frame, and it's there for a couple of months, which is very gracious of them to do. But a lot of the other people haven't got quite as large a home, so like here, where do you put it to leave it up?
Right.
You have to take it down all the time.
Right.
And this way it's up and ready to be sewn. But they do, a lot of others do, we do a lot of small baby quilts. That you can do in your lap on a large hoop, you know.
Okay, what I'm leading up to is, how is it that you don't use a frame or a lap hoop?
Well, first off, my husband isn't too keen on having a frame. He says, no quilting frame in my house.
You're not taping now, right?
Yeah. It's all right, you can talk.
But it's my husband. He does it. Well, we don't, truthfully, have the room. Let's face it, you can see.
Okay.
And if I quilt, I want to quilt, and I can't put it.
Showing this guy.
Oh, he's not that. It's the only thing he is a little bit stern on. So anyway, but I had the large hoops and so forth, but I just didn't care that much for the hoops. And to tell you the honest truth, I truthfully don't like to quilt on a frame as well as I do in my lap.
Now, how do you accomplish that?
Well, it's quite a chore because it's extra work. You have to quilt your whole quilt 2 inches apart, and I usually have to do it and lay it out on the floor upstairs, all together, you know.
Yeah.
And baste. I said quilt. I didn't mean that. Baste your whole quilt. 2 inches apart.
Okay.
Each way. Sometimes it takes 6 and 7 hours to do, and I can't do it all at once because it's quite a chore when you're down on your knees and you're trying to do that. And you have to have it flat so that you have it smooth.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll have it all wrinkled in the back. So when you have that done, and your edge is protected, then you can pick it up and lay it down almost anywhere and put it in your lap with safety. You're always starting at the middle towards the edge. But I can honestly say, for which I shouldn't brag because it can always happen, I have never had any problem with it puckering or wrinkling or anything in the back. And a lot of people even have that happen if they put it on a hoop and pull it too tight one side and not as much on another, which surprises me because I wouldn't think it would, but I just heard recently it has happened. But that's the only thing. It's much more time-taking to do it that way.
It's amazing.
But once you get it done, you've basted it, then you can fold it all up and put it in a big pillowcase or something and tuck it in the corner and pick it out when you want to.
My goodness.
It is a chore. I made one 2 years ago, and I said, no more big ones, and I did. I made a a large one. It wasn't a king, it was a queen size one. And I said, no more. I can't remember, it was 108 by something like that.
Wow.
And that's a lot to handle in your lap.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
And I had never made one quite as big. I took it apart 3 times to try and make it smaller. It was hard because it was all stars.
Uh-huh.
And I had to put it back together. It didn't suit me. I had to put it all back. So that quilt was 3 times the work it would have ordinarily been. But it was difficult to handle. And I said, no more real large ones. I make them in the 80s, 83, 86, and so. But that other one was a bit too big.
Oh my goodness, yes. Now, why do you think your mother quilted and your grandmother quilted? You
I
know,
really have no idea. No,
they
my mother just
didn't
always
have to.
No, she always they always loved to sew.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's the reason. My mother didn't do too much. She did some, but not as much as I have. She just liked to.
So what do you think it is about quilting that's so appealing, that keeps you doing it?
Just it's something different each time.
Yeah.
My husband can't understand why I'm constantly sewing. But it's interesting, exactly like you'll have another hobby you like, you get interested in it, and you find something else that's of interest, and you keep on enlarging. Colors, different materials, different patterns, and so forth. See if you can achieve certain things. You find what you can do well and what you can't do well. So, but I enjoy sewing of any kind. I don't make clothes or anything, but I mean, I did years ago, but I don't anymore.
Do you ever use a machine, or is it all hand?
No, I do all hand. I tried something the other day with machine, and I don't know. I'm not happy with it that way, so I do it all by hand. Occasionally, I'll run up a long seam on the machine, but it's 99%.
Do you quilt every day, or do some kind of sewing every day?
I usually do a little bit of something every day. My husband thinks I do it all the time, but I don't. No, I do a little bit, or I plan. Quilts take a lot of planning. People may not think so, but you've got to figure yardage, and you've got to figure sizes and pieces, and it's not the easiest thing. People don't quite realize that a lot of planning goes into quilting. Besides your color schemes, selections, and up here too, we're a ways from fabric stores, which does make it difficult that you've got to go here and there to get what you want, to match things, you know.
So how do you choose your colors? Do you
That's
feel like you have...
I don't know, you just think once in a while what you want to do. You want to have something in, like make it in the mauve shades. You can't always, because you can't always get the colors. If you were perhaps in the city, you might have a bigger chance.
Which do you think comes first, though, when you're planning a quilt, or you get an idea for a quilt, the pattern or the color scheme, or does it all come together?
I kind of like to think of what I want for a color, and then I think of the pattern. I like appliques quite a lot. Although patchwork, I do a lot of patchwork, but I still favor applique. But either one suits me. I'm not that partial, but I have to make a quilt.
So do you feel like you have a particular style that's unique?
No, I don't think so. I like to try a little bit of this and that.
But do you favor certain colors?
Oh, yes. I'm
color
on the greens and the roses and the blues. Lavender probably a bit of. Especially.
How about patterns? Is there...
No, I don't. I don't. I'm not as skillful as some of them. They like to do these enormous mariner stars with all points and things going every which way, and I'm just not that good at it, I don't feel, so I don't try those. I pickle.
This is something that every Hall of Famer has said.
I'm
not as skillful as the others.
I'm not. So, I mean, you can see what the other person can do so much more skillfully than you can, and you can appreciate that at least.
Do you feel like there are times when you're more inspired to do it than other times? Or
I think
certain
so,
times
yes.
of day you enjoy it?
Well, I don't know about the time of day, but I know there's sometimes I feel like doing it, and then other times I couldn't care less. Supposed to make they were having flowered quilts for the Wiltwick show, and I had it all planned what I was going to make. And I started it, but it didn't turning out the way I wanted to, so I'm not going to display. I'm just going to enjoy the show this year and not do any displaying. But I was disappointed that it didn't come out to suit me. It's not together, but I mean it's ready.
How did it not come out?
I can't say exactly. I really can't. If you asked me, I couldn't give you a definite reason. I haven't decided what I'm going to put together with, and the pattern I had enlarged. Teresa was graciously enough to enlarge it for me, but I couldn't get the colors to suit me. I was more or less copying something in colors, and I couldn't get the colors that I wanted to copy to blend the way I wanted it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it didn't suit me, so I thought, I'll finish it and make it and eventually have it. It might turn out very nice, but it wasn't what I planned. So there are times. So right now it's on the shelf, and I'm saying, I'll wait a while.
Yeah. Do you ever do any original designs? Or
I made a couple. I can't even remember what they were like. Flowers with leaves.
Yeah.
Squares with flowers and leaves. But not too many, no. Made one or two, and that's all. Years ago.
Yeah.
They're pretty shabby right now. But I use my quilts all the time.
Oh, you use them?
I use them. I mean, I don't. Right now, I happen to have spreads, and they happen to be cross-stitched. They're not quilted or appliqued. But the ones I had made some years ago. And but I have some quilts that I made when I was in Long Island. They were appliques. And I use them all summer. And take them off in the winter and put these on. And they're washed once a year. I only wash them once after using them. And I made one in 1941. And one, I think, the year later. And they look lovely right to this day. I have to be honest with you. Of course, I don't have a lot of kids jumping all over them. You know, I mean, if you had a family and children, you couldn't keep them that way. But I just have them as spreads. I use them as spreads. Excuse me. I don't use them as quilts. I use them as a spread on my bed. So I've had those two, and I was very fortunate. I look back. I put them in the Mineola Fair, and I got first prize on both of them. So.
Oh, you did?
But that was in the 30s. But anyway,
so these are, you use them in the summer, and then you have different quilts in the winter?
I use those starting around June, because they're all flowers, and then I change the pictures, and they're flowers in the wall. And then I take them off for the winter, and I put on my cross-stitch quilt spreads, and put the other pictures up, and it's more a little just winter scene, if you know what I mean.
Wow, that's neat.
But that way I don't use them all year round, and they don't have quite as much abuse.
And how do you wash them?
I guess like everybody else, I'm ashamed to say, I don't even use the special quilt. I can't remember, Equal Esquire or something like that. There's some kind of a name, I can't think, it begins with E. I just use woolite and a very light wash, warm, because I don't think they get soiled that much, but I like them. And then I put them out. I do it on a windy day. I hang them on the line. I do hang them out. Try not to have them in the bright sun if I can, but I don't put them in the dryer. They keep very well.
So have you won any other awards besides you first prize at the Mineola Fair?
Oh, well, I got.
What kind of fair was it? Was it a quilt show or?
Oh, yes. You know, like the country fairs you have in Syracuse and all around. There are big needlepoint exhibitions and so forth. They have, yes. That was there. Yes, I was over at the, just once. I don't go enter very much of anything. Wiltwick I got last year. I got a second prize, I think it was second. Yes, I think it was second prize on one of my quilts. It was the huge one that I made. And then I entered my wall hang. No, I shouldn't say that. It wasn't a quilt. I entered Yes, I did. I entered my blue and white quilt, which was a feathered plume, over at the Onteora.
Oh.
No, not the Onteora. The Twilight Park. They have a. I don't know if you've heard of it, but they have a a show once a year.
Mm-hmm.
Includes everything from ceramics to paintings to needlework to anything in the way of crafts. And it's, I don't know how I got a chance to get in there, but it's a bit of a select group that they pick. I don't know how, but somebody, one of our members, shows there, and she said, come along with me, and I got a special award on that one.
Great. Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't any first, second, or thirds. It was just the only one in its category, and it was I got a Blue Ribbon Special Award, which was very nice. So, but I don't have that quilt anymore.
Now,
so
what year were you inducted into the Hall of Fame? I don't know quite.
You know, I didn't even ask, and I'm not too sure.
I
know it's 58 or 57. I'm truly not sure. The other night I was going to ask that. I'm sure it must have been in the late 70s, 79 or 78 or 79, somewhere around that.
Do you know who nominated you?
I think it was Vivian Ruth, if I'm not mistaken.
Were you surprised? Or?
No, she asked me if I. No, she asked me if I joined the club. See, in this club we have, it's kind of a strange club. They just say, wouldn't you like to come over some evening and see? And then after you're there 2 or 3 times, then we realize that they're going to stay. They'll be one of our members. Because we don't have any select officers or anything, which is sometimes I think we should have a chairman or something, but we don't. However, it goes along nicely just the way it is, so I mean, there's no sense to changing that. But I think it was Vivian Ruth kept after me a long time, asking me, wouldn't I like to join? I said, well, yes, I would.
But I mean the Hall of Fame.
Oh, the Hall of Fame, Vivian.
She did that.
Yes, Ruth. Yes, she was very gracious.
And where was your induction ceremony that day?
Right here in Wyndham.
Oh, it was?
Yes, at that, is it Trinity Church? I don't know, the Episcopal Church. The one that's in the Historical Society book now.
Okay.
It's right there in Wyndham, on Main Street. We were very lucky. It was right home.
So were you surprised, or how did you feel?
Yes. Well, she had to get a quilt to show for display. See. So therefore, I did know.
I see.
It couldn't be a surprise because apparently they have to decide on your work beforehand, and that quilt that I got the special award on is what I gave her for a an example.
Do you own most of your quilts? You do.
I sell some. But just to get rid of them, I don't know what I do with them. If I can sell them. But I make baby quilts quite a bit. I think most of us do.
Yeah.
There's always a call for that.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite part of the whole process? Some part of it that you enjoy more than any other aspect?
I don't imagine so. I don't think so.
No.
It's just nice being with the group and listening to all their ideas.
But in terms of working on your own quilts?
Oh, I don't know. I think planning it's almost the hardest part. And measuring and getting everything and picking out the stuff and so forth for it. But I can't say there's anything I just enjoy more than anything else.
So is there a special place in the house that you do it? Do you do it on the couch or
I'll do it here. Sometimes I'll sit in the bedroom and do it. Lay my quilt on the bed. So I won't have so much in my lap. But usually here.
Do you listen to music or watch TV while you're doing it?
No. Not as a rule. Sometimes I do. If it's in the evening, I got a good program, I'll quilt a little bit. So
do you find that you think about things, or you don't think about things when you're quilting?
I don't know. I think you do automatically while you're quilting and planning and doing things. Because it doesn't take a lot of brains to just in and out, just to watch what you're doing. But it's nice to see it progress. That's what I like.
Do you consider it an art? quilting?
Well, I think, I don't know so much in the art, but I do think that you can make it an art. You can try and make it.
And how would you do that?
Well, I mean, you can just practice more. A lot of people, I know some people who think they just do beautifully, and to my mind, they're atrocious. They are not careful of how their stitches, whether they're big or they're little, or what shows, or how they put even putting their quilts together. And something. I think it can be quite an art, and you have to make it yourself. Be precise in what you do. Just like anything else, if you want to, like people who write poorly, they can practice and improve their writing. But
so you basically think that workmanship is the most important
I
factor?
think workmanship, after you've got your quilt started and so forth, has a great deal to do with it. Oh, yes. A quilt can be beautiful material and patterns, but if it's put together poorly, it's a shame.
Yeah.
It's completely destroyed.
Right.
Just not just the quilting alone, it's the way it's put together. But I think everybody else that quilts feels the same way too, so I'm not any different.
Do you have a large fabric collection, or
No? Not anymore. I'm trying to get rid of things gradually. Well, the more you see things you'd like to buy, but when you think, what am I going to do with it? Well, you've got so many things planned ahead that you can't keep up with yourself. So I don't do what I used to. However.
Do you have a daughter?
I have no children.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask if your
no
daughter
children.
had learned to quilt as well. If you had
No,
any.
I have no children. So, well,
There comes a time when I have to look at my
I
list
think
of
there
questions.
comes a time that you just about finished, I'm afraid.
No, I'm not finished.
No.
Let me just look at this thing. Oh, okay. Do you have? Is there any one quilt that you've made that that's particularly memorable, or you enjoyed making the most?
No, I don't think so. Not particularly.
You
no.
don't have a favorite all-time quilt?
Not particularly, no. I put them away, and I take them out when I don't select one from another if I want to show something. I really and truly don't think I have, honestly.
How many quilts do you think you make in a year?
Oh.
Or is it hard to say on the average?
Oh, if I made two, that's something. One usually, but I'll make a couple of baby quilts or some pillows, or a lot of things in between time. But I don't usually make one. Probably I have made two, but that's because I started one the year before, and it encroached into that year, and I finished it in 1 year.
Right.
But no, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
You can't do everything else and do that too.
Who do you sell to?
I don't sell to anybody, just our quilt fair. Well, we have one every year at the East Jewish Fire Department.
Oh, okay.
We have one in August, just the second week in August. Yeah, second week in August. And it's quite a nice, it really is. Yeah, when you get down here, you should really stop in and see it. We have all quilts for display, and then quilts for sale, big ones and little ones. And then we have a large refreshment table. We used to sell cookbook. We all our own recipes, loaded with cookies and fruit and stuff. And that's all free.
Oh, wow.
And then the back room is nothing but a boutique, and that is lovely.
Yeah.
That is lovely. Everything from quilted items to knitted to anything at all. So they're the only place I ever put my quilts up for sale.
So you never get special orders?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't do that,
No, I never have. So I just do it for my own enjoyment. And then when it gets a little bit too many I have to get rid of them.
Right.
Oh.
Well, would you like to show me some of your stuff?
Yeah.
I'll take some photographs.
I'll just show you that one hanging that I wanted to show you. Quilts should never be put away in plastic bags.
Now, why is that?
I'm not going to say I have the exact answer. Apparently, it does something to the material that I don't think it helps them fade or anything, but it does something to the material that they don't last as long. They should be kept in cloth, like we take old pillowcases.
Yeah.
Or I'll take some old sheets that I have, and I'll sew them together and make big bags.
Oh.
And we carry all of our quilts in material, like bags.
Oh.
I have an old bag that I keep when I carry my quilts, I'll show you. Like this. This is one I keep. See, when I go somewhere, I always carry them like this.
Oh.
See, it's an old laundry bag.
Oh, yeah.
You see. As you can see, the Plymouth laundry is broken.
Oh.
They never came back. They went out of business and never came back for that. Oh, you don't want that.
Yes,
No.
I don't know.
No. No, I just put that there so that we know that, I know that my...
Stolen from the pilgrim.
I came over with it. My husband. So you see?
That's what you should put on there.
What?
It says property of, so you stole it.
Oh, Fred, cut it out. Oh, no. You think I stole it? I didn't. They just never came back.
I'm gonna write this in the post.
They just never came back. They went out of business. And here I have this beautiful laundry. I said, that's great. I'll keep it. I have nowhere to give it to, you
Now,
know.
what have you got in there?
Well, this is nothing here I'm keen about showing, to tell you the truth. That's a cool.
Why is that?
Because I don't care much for it. This is one, I shouldn't say.
You do like
This is
some
one that
better than
was
others.
put in
You
there.
like
It was a
some good.
surprise. This was put in the Quilters magazine. Let me see if I can find the book. It's right here somewhere. The Ladies' Circle Quilters magazine.
Oh. Yeah.
Quilters magazine wanted our group 2 years before, said that they would put some of our quilts in their book, but it would be 2 years before they could. Well, they called up one a year ago and said they would like to meet with us. Well, I was at a dentist appointment, so I didn't see them. So I put one quilt in a bag and gave it to one of the women to take it and show them. Well, I must have had two in there, because the one I sent, they didn't pick it. And they pulled this out. I said, how did that happen? So I must have had two quilts in. The one I didn't care for, they selected and put in their magazine. So this is the quilt they put, I'll show you, in the magazine. This is the quilt.
Oh.
Which they...
And you don't care for this?
I didn't care much for it, no. Let me see if I can... I don't know, it just didn't hit me.
Colors or something.
Is this a log cabin design?
Gee, I don't know.
Or something?
Do you know what they call this in Virginia?
There's a picture of the husband who drives her
good
crazy.
Hey, good, you landed on that.
This must be it, because I have a ribbon tied to this. This was the Ladies' Circle patchwork. So I'll show you in just a minute, and then you can see it. And I was amazed to find...
There it is.
Yeah, that was accident. I didn't even know that was in the thing.
It looks wonderful.
See, I had put another one, a green quilt. Fred, you want to lay this on the top shelf?
Big feeling.
Lay on the top shelf on the right. Oh, you can't. All right, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, on the right. That surprised me because it wasn't the quilt I thought I had given them. But anyway, This was it, so that just by luck I happened to have it in here. I never thought of that. But somehow, see, this is made of chintz. Oh, and this is a story too. No, it isn't.
Is this a log cabin pattern?
No, no,
What?
that's birds in flight. It's
Oh,
called.
birds in
Birds in flight. Not this one.
This is the one.
So, no, I'm not saying that. But I enjoyed this. It was fun to do this one in that I had the material and I had to scrunch around a little bit to cut it off the bowl to make it, in between the sashes. It was fine.
What's this piece here for? Is it,
Well, that's for hanging.
for hanging?
You see, when you, as a rule, you take it up like this and you some pattern in the wall from the back, and they fix it so that it doesn't show. You know what I mean?
see, yeah.
But then you don't have to put your quilt through it,
Right.
which is nice. I'll just go like this. You can put that away later.
Are you working on one right now?
No,
No?
no, I'm not. I was going to say, that's the one that I was talking about that, that I, what did I say? The one that, there's nothing, this is it for a picture here for you to see, is the one I wouldn't finish, the flowered one.
Yeah.
And, so I haven't done anything to it. I'm sorry to say, I'm really not, I had a baby quilt I just finished recently, but it wasn't so hot either. I wasn't too pleased with that. Sometimes things don't come out to suit you. So, that's me. But I really don't. A couple of quilts my husband wanted and was fussing about, and I made one, and I said to him, well, you can have it. And he got it.
Are we still here?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. More in the other room.
Really?
Yeah, I guess I got about 14.
Wow.
My lifetime. But I'm getting so now I don't care about shooting anymore.
Oh, really?
The lust of bloodlust of kids.
Yeah. It happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, it does. I never thought it would, but we see them all the time, and I feed them out in the back here anyway. And you get so just like shooting a cow in your own backyard, So if I needed it for meat, well, that'd be different.
Yeah.
But
I think I'll show you one of the applique quilts that I gave
Oh,
at
good.
the Mineola Fair. I think it's here, I'm not too sure. Yes. I might have fibbed here, it's been a year, I have to look at them myself again to remember. But every quilt should be,
that is
it should be, where's it, here's it.
There's a lot of quilting.
41, see?
Wow.
I'll show you. I don't think this is too bad.
You date
For
all of
being
them?
oh yes, they should all be signed and dated.
Oh, really?
Every quilt should.
This is for...
Now, see, it has faded a bit, but I think
45 years old.
for use, how much, Fred?
45 years
Yeah,
old.
for being used every day, all summer. I think,
I want to get the date in.
wait a minute, no.
You turn the whole thing this way then.
Yeah, look here. Maybe you can't see that.
Beautiful.
41, that's not very clear, but this one is, that was the one from the Mineola Fair.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Now this other one is the same thing. This is from the Mineola Fair.
You can do this for many, many years.
Oh, yes. I know where my... the other end, probably.
Is your exposures on that automatic?
Yeah, I've got it at 60th.
You got your...
But did you match needle it or not? Does it have match needles inside there?
Um,
For your exposure, not focus, for exposure.
doing something wrong?
No, I just wondered, when you, how do you figure your exposure? Does the camera figure
Oh,
it
yeah,
for
it
you?
does.
Or it's all automatic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because I've never used an automatic.
See, this one,
I wouldn't try
now
that.
this one I'm wrong. This is 40, this is 3, no, 42.
That's on B42.
42 the year after.
So which of these won the prize?
Both of them.
Both of them.
They both won first prize. I should get the ribbon, somewhere I have the ribbons. I can't remember.
See, all you have to do is you set your 160 is what you're using.
Right,
And that's probably synchronized with your flash.
right,
That's your synchronization.
right,
Yeah, and then you just focus, but your exposure is automatic.
right.
In my old camera, I have to use match needle. In other words, everywhere I turn it, my needles change, so I match my needles up to get my exposure.
Oh. No, I wouldn't want to do that.
Well, this is as when you start wearing glasses and everything else, it gets kind of.
Yeah.
Well, this
These
one,
are just
this
beautiful.
is the other one. Fred can take the other end of that. There we are.
Yeah.
You definitely do like certain colors.
Oh, yeah.
Roses and greens and
roses,
blues.
greens.
Yes, I am. A little more. I'm not as much nowadays. Of course, times change. The Amish colors are all, in now. I think they're very beautiful too.
They are. They're unusual
yes.
Combinations of colors.
Yes, and of course, let's face it, you've got to get somewhere to get them up here. And I don't get around like I used to. So that,
46 years old,
yes.
They're incredible. They're beautiful.
I don't know what these are. I noticed this the last time I hung them up.
These are like you could use either side of these.
Well, no, I wouldn't say these aren't so wonderful, but at least those are the two, though, that I mentioned to you before I wanted you to. I didn't think I had them available, but that's about it. I have some more, but they're not nothing to talk about. So, that should do it, but they should be kept, as I said to you.
I'm lazy.
Yeah.
I don't write much. Why don't we get a tape recorder? I got it over there.
Yeah.
Never used it. I think that he's taped one message to me and then he gave up. I asked him by telephone.
It's like kind of embarrassing. It's off on a tape recorder.
I think you have to get somehow used to it.
Yeah.
Have something in your mind because you talk for something like 60 minutes. A long time. Well, you gotta figure break it up. One of these days I might get around to it.
The only other place it would be is up in the top there, and I can't get up to it.
Which one you want? Another one?
The cruel work one. It might be underneath what you have to get the steps through them. And then we'll let you go. My God, you've been here. You've got other things to do. But that was in the Lady Circle.
Yeah.
Patchwork. I couldn't remember what book it was in, but that was a shock. They hadn't picked that quilt when I didn't even know I'd given it to them. Have they got that? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Well, I know you're not.
Now, how did you get from the Midwest to Long Island?
Oh, well, we moved when we were little children.
Oh, you did?
My father was in the silk business, and his business moved to New York. So
He
we came.
made silk or?
No, he was
Treasurer.
He was treasurer and something else, treasurer and chief accountant of Joseph Brown's Silk Company. Excuse me. When he moved here, and of course he moved his family, so that's how we all got here. And that's how we stayed, and we stayed, of course.
And then you were on Long Island.
Yeah.
From there.
Right. And then
And how did you two meet?
his sister
Oh, really?
taught school.
Uh-huh.
In Martin,
In Virginia taught school in the
So-
same school.
the same school, so that's how we
Uh-huh.
got together. Yes, we haven't in years
Oh, really?
since I've seen him.
Yeah.
Oh, you just got back from service
I
too.
just come back from WW2.
Yeah, you hear them say
The
that
big one.
big one.
Big
You have to laugh.
Mhm. I grew up on Long Island
Did you?
as well.
Where were you?
Patchogue.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, that's
further.
nice.
Yeah.
Sure.
We lived in, Virginia lived in Belrose, and then we lived in Floral Park, and then we lived in West Hempstead, and we went back to Floral Park.
My best friend lived in off Quanticut Road in Great River.
Great River.
She just moved up here recently. She sold her home.
Yeah, she's up in Utica now.
So do you find that, had you planned to move up here from Long Island for a long time before you did it, or?
No. We like to get away.
We like the country, and
Yeah.
we like the lakes. And
My husband retired early,
Uh-huh.
and we decided that we wouldn't get out of the city.
Yeah.
We just,
Was it a hard adjustment to make?
not for me.
No.
No. Neither one of
I
us.
could never go back to Long Island now.
Yeah.
I go back now about once a year. We used to a lot, but now everybody's gone down there, so we go down about once a year just to visit cemeteries. You know?
That's all. Everybody's gone.
Yeah.
It's,
How about giving you a cup of coffee or tea? Would you like a nice cup before you go?
No,
Coffee or tea?
actually, thanks. I've had a lot this
You're
morning.
welcome to.
And also, I'm trying to quit smoking, so I'm chewing nicotine gum.
Oh, bless your
My
heart.
stomach is acid.
Aw, that's hard.
it's a hard job. I agree with that. You can get through it, but it's a real chore.
Well, it's been about a week,
Oh, week.
but
The first week is probably the hardest.
but my boyfriend bought me this, got a prescription from a doctor friend of his for this nicotine gum, and said to me, if the first cigarette I smoke, he's paying for this gum, which is expensive.
Good.
He said, the first cigarette I smoke is going to be the most expensive cigarette I've ever smoked in my life. Because I'm going to pay for this
It's
gum.
hard to give up. I mean, I think you do. You will feel better.
Yeah.
You put a little bit of poundage on it.
Yeah, I will.
Which is all right.
Yeah, I can afford it, I guess.
Sure.
Well, it's an expensive habit too these days. Now, aren't cigarettes terrible?
Your food will take on a whole different taste.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Well, but you can adjust yourself. That doesn't mean you have to go hog wild with eating. I remember when he stopped smoking. Long ago.
I was grumpier than usual.
Oh, yes, I'm glad you admit it.
Toothpicks. I got a habit with toothpicks. There's something to chew, And I think I damn near must have had a quart of toothpicks.
I think he must have had it down his throat. Oh, it was awful. Awful. We laughed though. He got over it.
Yeah.
But
It's a good thing to give up, really.
he must
I was a slumpy smoker.
well,
Burned up.
Yeah.
So
yeah. My good Tremayo blanket another
your
time.
blanket.
Big hole in it. But anyway, it's if you can do it, that's the thing to do. It's not easy. It's like stuff. We have a cousin. Coffee's just as bad.
Yeah.
I never saw anyone drink as much. She visited us from England, and she said, did I mind? I said, make yourself comfortable. I don't care what you do. I won't have to do it for you. She drank coffee at least, I bet she drank 15 to 20 cups a day.
Unbelievable.
It was awful, wasn't it?
I think she had really
Oh.
an addiction of it.
Yeah.
She could do nothing unless she had a cup of coffee. And black.
It's, oh my goodness,
black.
it's amazing her stomach could withstand that.
Black.
Huh.
So I just was happy she's welcome to. I said it was easy. She could do, we didn't perk it. It was instant because that's what she used home. But it really was a habit with her. And I thought to myself, she does very hard secretarial work. I mean, she's got a big job of 3 bosses and tents and so forth. And I imagine it helps her. But it wasn't, to my mind, it wasn't good for her. She had too much.
Yeah.
She could have had all the coffee you wanted here as far as I was concerned, but I didn't think for her own health.
Yeah.
But I've seen people drink coffee, but never like Barbara. Never. So.
Let me just ask one final question, which you may or may not want to answer. Is there anything that you think is important that I should know about you and quilting that you might want to see included in the?
What do you think, that I don't have? This thing isn't going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's still going?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Well, we can take the conversation.
They take
That's
what they
good.
want out.
That's good.
All right.
I don't know. I can't think of anything. Do you? Can you think of anything?
Well,
Anything that?
Is there anything that, you know, she thinks is important, or you think is important that I should know about her and her quilting, and that might, you know, you think is important that you might want to see in the publication, in the little biography or personal experience
well,
that I'm
I
going
think
to write?
it's part of her life. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's a segment like. It's, without it, I think she'd go. No, I mean, she'd have to be doing something in the line of sewing or quilting or what have you. Due to the fact that she's not a person,
I can't sit
she
like
cannot
this for an
sit.
hour or two.
No, not
Consider
hours.
rest.
She could,
I can rest if I am sewing or knitting.
it's a relaxation for
It's
her. It must be a
relaxing.
relaxation.
But my husband doesn't understand that.
Oh, I understand.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He thinks I should sit like this and do
Well-
nothing, and then rest. But that's not resting for me, and all my friends tell me the same thing. They're the same way. So it's just not me
It's
alone.
hard on, this quilting is fine for
It's
the
hard on
person
him.
that's doing it. But for the one that's sitting to the side, sometimes it drives them a little crazy.
What, because she doesn't pay
Because
attention
of
to you?
attention.
Oh, I
Yeah.
hear.
No, there isn't. No, really, she says.
Oh,
what I
you're
say
wrong, Fred. No,
I haven't been doing this for, we've been married almost 39 years,
Uh-huh.
so,
so we don't.
I
We
mean,
argue.
I have
over
my
that,
view.
so
We
don't
argue
pay
anyway.
attention.
I mean, we wouldn't be happy.
No, that's right. We argue.
But,
Well, no, I
so
can quilt
sometimes I would like
and
to have her
talk.
listen to me.
I do
And
listen,
at that same time, she's going like this.
but he
or
doesn't
whatever.
think I can listen when
Oh.
I'm quilting. I can't read and look at TV.
Uh-huh.
No, that I
Yeah.
can't do.
Mhm.
I can quilt and see TV, but not
Yeah,
read.
Uh-huh.
And Fred doesn't understand
She
that.
gets some of
He
it.
can read and look at TV, but I can't.
Well, I'm at a better angle than you.
Oh, that's
This
the
is your-
answer.
I'm in
You know,
your
you're like-
chair. Oh, no.
That's it. That's the answer I want you to know. I can't win, no matter how it is.
Oh, I think you.
Oh, you do all right, too. But anyway, I think you just about covered everything, my dear.
Okay.
I hope we
Once
haven't
in a
bored
while,
you
I
silly.
mean,
No, no, it's been very pleasant.
to keep her young, she rides on the back of a motorcycle.
Oh, Fred, you're gonna tell her that.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
Whoa.
We
Yeah,
go
I have
everywhere.
Two old motorcycles up in the back. And-
They're not old ones, they're
Well,
good.
one is old. It's
Oh,
yeah,
right,
this
well,
is not.
he talked like some antique.
It
Well, one is an
One
antique.
is an antique, definitely.
It's a classic, I should say, not an
That's
antique.
a 1964,
Wow.
R69 S BMW.
BMW.
And the other
Wow.
one's a
But the other one isn't.
1978 R100.
Uh-huh.
That's the really one that
That goes.
take it for a real ride on.
That really goes.
That is
Well, we
wild.
went up, 2 years ago, we went to Lake Placid to the National
Rally?
Rally, you know?
You did?
Yeah,
Oh,
sure, we had a good time.
my goodness.
That was fun.
She can get on the back and she has no fear at all.
Huh.
I couldn't ride on the back of anyway.
No, he said not me.
But she rides on, she's always worried about her hair.
Oh, it killed him if I.
Well, she takes her hands off, she's playing around with herself.
Oh, Fred, stop.
That is
My
funny.
hair, I have my helmet on, but anyway,
Yeah.
however, it's fun,
So,
something different.
yeah, we've been
It's
doing it
wild.
for a number of years.
Well, anyway,
All right.
it's okay. Well,
Now I have to ask you to